All right, what's up guys? I am back. A lot of you guys reached out to me and asked me if I would do a video on the Drip Garden, so here it is. The Drip Garden was created by the same developer of Drip and the Animal Farm. It is a miner. This one pays you out 3% per day, but it does not work in the same sense that other traditional miners do. If any of you guys have any experience with traditional miners, you know that the contracts are very much based around Ponzi-nomics. And what that means is the money is first in and first out. When those miners get ready to launch, they reach out to all the insiders and big investors. Those guys get in, they set a launch date, let's just say next Friday. Those guys get in immediately after they launch it, then they release it to the public. So it's a massive benefit to get in early. You put your deposits in, you compound for a little bit. Once that contract balance starts to go up, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, the initial investors that put their money in drain the account balance, drain that contract balance. They get all their money back plus a good profit, and most people are left holding the bag. I've probably been in about 20 miners that are set up that same way. I've lost money on at least 15 and I've made money on the other 5. I'm very lucky because a couple of the ones that I made money on outweighed my losses. So I actually, netted ahead 8 grand or something like that from all the time, but very high risk, very high reward. And probably more than 90% of the people lose their money in those. They generally don't last very long. The tokenomics and the contracts are not set up to let them last long. I should say they're not really set up to incentivize good behavior to make those contracts last. It's been said crypto's a solo sport, so people dump their money in and then pull their money back out as fast as possible. That kills the contract for everyone else in the future, so it can't keep going. But since there's no real utility tied to the miner, the only incentive to join is to dump your money in and then try to ROI as quickly as possible and get out, because there's no long-term vision for those contracts. I've seen some of those miners last a week, and most of the time that's because the smallest time lock was 1 week. And I've seen miners that are set up like that have lasted for a few months, but that's definitely not typical. So if you've been in a normal miner, you probably already know this. The likelihood is you've already lost money on at least 1 or 2 of them, and you're trying to find a better solution. And that's what I think the Drip Garden, the Drip BUSD Garden provides. So let me read off some of the details here, and then I'll break down all the ins and outs that you need to know. So the Drip BUSD Garden is what we're looking at here. And this is on the animal.farm/garden. As you can see over here, we have this tab selected, but I think eventually it will actually live on this page, which is animalfarm.app. This is the version 2 of the Animal Farm. If you guys have been following the Drip ecosystem, they had to migrate from V1 to V2 pigs. And when they did that, they put together a new user interface. So if you see here that there's a Drip Garden tab here as well, this one just directs you back to the old site. So by the time you're watching this video, it may still be on the old site, but it also could have migrated to this new domain. I will have links for both. Back to the old site. Drip BUSD LP tokens can be acquired tax-free by sending BUSD to the Drip Liberation contract on the Manor Farm platform. So the Manor Farm really evolved into the Animal Farm, and the Drip Liberation contract is right here. All that does, if you guys are familiar with LP tokens, this Drip BUSD LP, LP stands for liquidity pool. So what you're doing is you're adding liquidity to Drip BUSD, right, Binance dollars, to the Drip pool. And that helps support the Drip price and obviously it does it by adding additional liquidity. So those LP tokens are just 1-to-1, part Drip, part BUSD. So if you were going to put in $100, it would be $50 worth of Drip and $50 worth of BUSD. You pair those together, you put them in the contract, and you earn a yield from that. Now with most other LP tokens, you've got to go over to PancakeSwap, you buy both tokens, then you create liquidity or add liquidity, it creates the pair for you, and then you can come in here and stake it. What Forex Shark, the developer, did is he created this Drip Liberation contract. What this allows us to do is actually just purchase the Drip BUSD LP in a much easier manner. So this does all the work for you. You don't have to go create the liquidity pairs. You just buy with either BNB or BUSD. It will automatically take half and half, pair them together, and create that liquidity pair. And when you do it here, the Drip Liberation contract allows farmers to add Drip BUSD liquidity to PancakeSwap without paying the transaction tax. Right? If you go to PancakeSwap, you're actually going to pay them a transaction tax because they're doing it for you. In this case, the Liberation contract is doing it for you, and therefore you do not have to pay the fees. So this is the best way to do that. Back to the garden. So you could consider this a higher risk, higher reward version of Drip. You basically have a leveraged position on Drip. So if you think Drip and the Drip ecosystem are going to do well over time, then the garden could be a really good way to maximize those gains. So when the drip price goes down, the drip garden will see a little bit bigger of a hit. And when the drip price goes up, the garden will see a greater increase. It's a leverage position on drip. So it's important to note that this is a higher risk play than actually just being in the drip faucet. Everything is risky in DeFi. So no matter where you put your money or what contracts you want to get involved in, make sure that you're only investing risk capital. That's money you'd be willing to lose. As long as you know that going in, then these plays, could work out really well for you. Now with traditional miners, like I said, let's roll down to this chart. I might as well read this for you. The drip garden is a true game where all players start out relatively equal, and what determines your payout is how often you plant your seeds or compound versus how often you sell them, right? Your payout is decided by your good behavior. So if you're compounding quite a bit, your payout's higher. If all you're doing is draining the account, your payout is lower. Below is a graph showing the buying power over time and balance compared to other games such as Shrimp Farmer and other miners. So what Forex Shark did is he saw the game theory in those other miners and said, I can make this better and more sustainable, which is really standard for him and his projects. He believes heavily in sustainability and rewarding those people that exercise responsible behavior in the entire ecosystem. So that's Animal Farm, Drip Garden, everything. He rewards people that compound and claim responsibly. There's a way to do it to make these contracts last for a really long time, and there's a way not to do it. And that's represented by this red line here. So like I was kind of mentioning earlier, existing games give insiders over 100,000% more buying power than players who get in after launch, allowing them to drain the contract and disincentivize new capital from coming in. So there's a bunch of out there, BNB miner, BUSD miners. There's probably 100 of them or more. New ones are always popping up and they're going away just as quickly. And the reason is in the first couple days, all that big money capital gets lodged in here. Those guys get on YouTube, they show the referral links, a ton of people get in, the contract balance goes up and up and up. And then the people who got in on day one or day two just drain the account. Once the account gets so low, it doesn't have enough money to pay back all the investors. So anyone who got in at this point loses all their money, and only a few people, maybe like the first 10% that got in, actually ROI on that investment. So they're not set up to promote longevity at all. And there's two types of these that I've seen. One that just pays you out a percentage, whatever percentage, whether it's 8% or 15% or 23% a day. And it just keeps paying that out until the contract balance is dead, runs to zero. Those are obviously really risky plays, and you have to be in right away to ROI on those every time. Now, some of these other miners are set up in a way that the payouts decrease as the account balance falls. So the contracts last a lot longer, but your payout is so drastically reduced and keeps dropping, so you never really get your money back. There's one miner that I got into recently, and right now it's paying me like $1.50 a day, and it's continuing to go down. I'm pretty close to break even on that one, so I didn't really end up losing money, but I certainly didn't make money. And I feel like those are much more high maintenance. You're constantly watching the contract balance like a hawk, trying to see if it's going to last, trying to pull your money as often as possible. That way you don't end up being the one that just is holding the whole bag. So Drip Garden increases buying power as the contract balance grows and time passes, allowing all players to get a fair rate. So it actually has the opposite effect, and it does this through disincentivizing bad behavior. So if you're claiming all the time and trying to drain the account, then your payouts get less and less and less. If you're compounding, then your payouts get to be more and more and more. So obviously we all want to make more money. So in this case, Forex is designed that if you have good behavior and compound most of the time and claim a smaller portion of the time, that you're going to get paid a lot more in the long run. Another thing he does is they offer like a time lock bonus, right? Fertilizer bonus. So it's really just time in the system. And this increases as you make additional deposits and just continue to compound. So this is a nice feature that I don't think any other miner has. And again, it's just set up in a way to incentivize good behavior and decentivize bad behavior. So the good boys and girls, they're going to end up being this green line. The bad boys and girls are going to play it like every other miner, drain their initial money and never really be able to recover. So obviously this protocol is set up to reward those who compound. And when people need to claim, if they claim responsibly, maybe one day a week, then they can do that without killing their garden and losing their ability to have a continued ROI. So again, this is 3% a day on your value. I think it's actually 3.3% return a day if you want to be exact. but that's a 3.3% return on value. So that doesn't necessarily mean 3.3% ROI. It's more on the value of your own personal farm. If you've got bad behavior, you're not gonna get paid near that high. If you compound and have good behavior, then you can make a ton of money in this. Now, like I said, this miner's been open for quite a few months now, and it's still going. This looks like a lower account or a lower contract balance here, 415,942. And if you've been in other miners, you're thinking, hey, once the contract balance drops below 500K, I need to look at getting out. But there's actually a tremendous amount of money in here because this isn't dollars or BUSD. This is drip BUSD LP. So if I pull a calculator up here real quick, let's say 415,941 times the LP price, which is right at about $15. That tells us that the contract balance is still $6.2 million. So anybody who looks at this and is saying the drip garden's been going on for months, it's got to be dead now, doesn't realize how much money is actually in the contract. So now you know what it is. Now you just need to know how to get in. If you want to get in and start earning up to 3% per day, you want to come over here to the drip liberation contract and just click on it. Now you can either use BUSD or you can use BNB. I'm going to swap over here to BNB because I actually just used my BUSD for something else. So I'll just put a little bit in here to show you guys how it works. Let's go 0.087. Now for me, I'm going to click supply. It may ask you to enable the contract, so you may actually have to click 2 buttons. If it's your first time creating that LP, it likely will ask you to do that. Once you click supply, it'll let you know how many LP tokens you're getting for the amount of money you decided to select. Click confirm supply. Of course, it'll ask you to confirm in MetaMask, and then you can add that LP token to your MetaMask wallet just by clicking this button here. I've already done it, so I don't need to do it this time. But if it's your first time doing it, I recommend adding it so you can see them in your wallet. All right, click close. Then you want to come back over here to the drip garden. It will normally take just a second for it to pop up and show you that you've actually got those drip BUSD LP tokens. There it is, it popped up. So 1.955555, whatever, right? I'm going to max these out because I want to put them all in the system. And then it's going to tell me I can buy 340 plants with that. It may ask you also here before you can do this to accept the contract. So if it's your first time, you may have 2 buttons and you need to click. So I'm going to say buy plants, confirm it in MetaMask. And then it will deposit everything I just purchased in addition to anything I had available, right? The seeds are what are worth money. Plants don't really have a value. Plants create seeds. Seeds are what's worth money. And then you can compound those seeds back into your garden, replant the seeds to speed up your yield. Now my time bonus here is 16.21. And as you can see, it's about 5 minutes for me to produce 1 plant. Now you can compound this as much as you want, but of course you don't want to do that a ton because then you're just wasting gas fees to compound. So depending on what your balance is, once or twice a day should be plenty. So I generally let this work its way up to where I have at least 1 LP and then I'll compound. To compound, what you'll come down and do, let's refresh real quick, is you'll come down here and there will be a green button here that says compound. The only reason there isn't is because I haven't created a new plant yet. I still got another 4 minutes to do so. Once that happens, it will ask me if I want to compound 1 plant. Like I said, let that build up for half a day or a full day, depending on what your balance is, and then go in here and you can compound. Now, right now, I only have 6,900 plants, so by the end of the day, I'll have over 7,000. I am not taking profit on this account right now. My goal is to continue to compound this until I hit at least 25,000 plants, and at that point, I'm going to reevaluate. But if it starts at 25,000 or 35,000, 45,000, whatever my threshold is that I decide, okay, now I'm going to start claiming, I'm going to follow the 6-in-1 strategy. So I'm going to compound for 6 days in a row, and I'm going to claim for 1. And if I do that with a balance as high as 25 or 35,000 plants, then it should have a minimal effect on my return. Again, if you claim every day, this thing starts to drain, your bonuses go down and you get paid less and less and less. So it rewards good behavior. I would say that if you're planning on getting in here, maybe compound for a month, maybe 2 months, build that balance up, and then flip yourself over to the 6-in-1 strategy. Now you can do whatever you want. It's not financial advice. This is just what I'm doing. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because the protocol was designed to benefit people who exercise this type of behavior. So why would I want to go against the way the contract is designed it to be, right? I want to follow that structure as closely as possible so I can maximize my ROI over time. And right now the garden isn't paying out a ton because drip price has been down. But if you guys know anything about Drip and the upcoming partnerships, releases, scratch tickets, peer-to-peer lending, pancake swap, ape swap, all those things that are coming to fruition right now, you know that the price of Drip is probably going to go up. And when it does, if you're in a leveraged position in Drip, then your garden will go up massively. So I'm counting on that. And that's why I'm not touching my profits right now. To me, this is when markets are low, it's an accumulation period. That's where you compound, hydrate, stack up your balance. Then once everything comes roaring back, you're in a better position to take profits and ROI for a longer period of time, not just as fast as you can. I want to make consistent gains over time and turn this into a real money machine. Delayed gratification is the name of the game in crypto, and it's the only way to make protocols like this sustainable. So if you want to get into this, you don't need a referral link, but you can use mine. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a small percent, gives me a slight bonus when you make a deposit. So if you like my content and you want to use it for that reason, then do it. If not, that money just goes into the contract balance, I guess. So it doesn't really benefit anyone if you go that route, but I don't want you to feel like I'm shilling this on you. Like the only way for me to make money here is just giving a bunch of people a referral link. I might maybe only have like 1 or 2 referrals right now. That's because the couple videos that I've done on this haven't been how-to tutorials like this. So I've just dropped it in the description and told people they can go to if they want to. So the money I'm making per day, and I'm making a reasonable amount per day, I'm making completely on the money that I deposited myself. So don't feel like the only way to make money here is to try to go out and get a bunch of referrals. It's not set up that way. So there is a tool I want to show you. And you guys might have used it on the Drip side. They've got the garden in here, Piggy Bank, Drip, a calculator, a bunch of resources. This is created by a developer named DevStreak, and his stuff is just phenomenal. This is the paid version, but there's a free version that has probably 80% of the same functionalities. But if you send them a few bucks, you get access to the whole system. So I want the additional analytics. So I sent over the $10 or whatever it was in BUSD so that I could get the full system. Plus I wanted to support him. He's a prominent member in the Drip community, Animal Farm, Drip Garden. He spent a lot of time creating this tool and it's awesome. So that 10 bucks is just a small kickback to him to thank him for, creating this for us. But this is one thing I want to point out to you. Right now, I'm only creating a plant every 6 minutes, right? So it's not going super fast. But as I continue to compound, this will get shorter and shorter and shorter, where it gets down to where it's 1 a minute and then 1 every 30 seconds, right? As you compound that plant balance, it's going to produce more seeds, which will in turn produce more plants every time you compound. So right now, it's not a big deal, but it's going to add up. If you want to maximize your ROI, you want to recompound or rehydrate right after you've gained a plant. So as you can see, it's more than halfway through of producing a new plant. If I compound now, this portion of a plant is lost. So ideally, you'd come check this tool, make sure it was in this smaller range, then recompound. It doesn't matter a whole lot now because this difference right here is only like 5 cents. But as the price of LPs goes up, then this may be much more expensive and you may be taking a sizable loss by compounding at the wrong time. So just be aware of that. Check out this tool, obviously. Like I said, it's great. It's got a bunch of details, lets you know how much money you're making, the contract stats, how much of it you own. You've got a calculator and there's some how-to videos and stuff like that down here as well. So that's the tool. Back over to the Drip Garden. Let's come down here and go to frequently asked questions. So I'll just cruise through these really quickly because I know some of these questions are going to come up in the comment section. So I might as well address them right now and we can nip that in the bud. Can I take my initial Drip LP back? The short answer is no. Over time you can. So your initial deposit is used to buy plants for your garden. They will immediately start producing seeds, which you can sell for Drip LP tokens or plant in your garden to increase the plant count and produce more seeds, right? That's the idea. You want to keep compounding. The seeds are what's worth money. So assuming the price of Drip doesn't change and the contract balance doesn't change, should take you about 30 days to ROI from this. But since those are both fluctuating, it could be a little bit different. For me, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to be in this for just 30 days. What this is going to produce for me is additional Drip BUSD LP pairs, meaning that I've got dollars there, Binance dollars, and I also have Drip. Now I want the Drip to go into my faucet. So at some point I may split that apart to increase my faucet balance because as the Drip balance goes up, that 1% per day really kicks in and you make more money over there. Now on the animal farm, you can take that Drip BUSD, not split it apart, stake it in there and earn pigs. You take those pigs, you put them in the pig pen or the piggy bank, and you can get dividends from that on that side of the animal farm. So there's multiple uses for these, and that's the reason why I want to generate a bunch of them, and then I can decide what I want to do with them. Split the dollars from the drip, and I'll keep the dollars and use them for something else. Send drip to the drip balance and the faucet balance and grow my stack over there, or leave them together, stake them in the animal farm, and earn pigs with them. Then I'll turn around and take those pigs and put them in either the piggy bank or the pig pen. So not only is it a way to make money, it's also a way to leverage the money you make into more money by keeping it in the ecosystem that he's built. So pretty phenomenal setup if you ask me. I think it's pretty amazing. So on to a few more questions here. So how much are my fees? The only fee that a user personally incurs is their transaction gas fees, which is charged by the BSC network. So obviously every time you make a transaction, you got to go up and confirm it in MetaMask. You want a little bit of BNB to cover the gas fees in there. When is the best time to start a garden? Always. No matter when you start your garden, you will begin on even ground with the other players due to your implementation of the balance and time multipliers, as well as a balancing of buying power for initial capital entering the contract. So how often should I compound? Many recommend that you compound at least once per day, but you're free to do so as often as you wish. So once a day, twice a day should be fine. You probably shouldn't do it every 10 minutes, like I said, because it's gonna chew up a lot of your gas fees. So that wouldn't make sense from an ROI perspective. But if you go out of town, you head to Mexico for a couple days, and you forget to compound your garden, it's not gonna be a huge deal. So I would just try to make it a goal to do it once per day, maybe twice if you're around your computer, and build up your stack. Once it's built up, put together a strategy like my 6-in-1 strategy to where you can take profits, but keep your garden in a favorable status so you're earning the most for your money. Okay, let's cover one more FAQ and then I think we'll wrap it up. So how is the DripBUSD garden sustainable? This is probably the most commonly asked question, because anybody who's been in DeFi knows most protocols are not sustainable, and those super risky plays get really old once you've lost a couple times. So people are looking for things that are a little more consistent. So the Drip LP Garden is not a clone of any other miner or themed game. All those other ones are popular in the space right now. Unlike its predecessors, DripBUSD LP Garden is part of a larger ecosystem which will work to promote and grow the game. Like I said, his entire ecosystem works together. That's part of the reason that everything Forex Shark creates is more sustainable, because there's an additional use case for it. You can move it over here, put it in the faucet, you can take it over, put your pigs in the pig pen. There's different ways to leverage your LP tokens in the farm. So there's a bunch of options for you as an investor, and because there's options, it makes you want to hold those because you've got another use for them rather than just sell them onto the market and let that thing crash, which is typically what happens. The DripBUSD LP Garden pays 3% daily, the same as other popular miner games in the space, some of which have been around for almost a year and are still thriving. And I would say, I will stop you there and say very, very, very few are still doing well. But we have fundamentally changed and rebalanced the buying power of capital entering the system to ensure everyone who enters gets a fair rate no matter when they enter. We have also introduced an innovative balance and time multiplier, which will continue to make the game attractive for new capital far after launch. So even if you get in super late, you're going to get additional multipliers, which then evens the playing field. So that's the Drip Garden. I personally like it. I've got a long-term outlook. I'm okay delaying my gratification and being responsible so I can make more money down the line. If that sounds like you also, then this might be for you. Again, my strategy is to get my plants grown up to above 25,000, maybe between 25 and 50,000. I'll decide what a good time is for me. I don't want to start taking money out of the system if I don't need it or I don't have another use for it. I might as well keep compounding. And right now, while the Drip BUSD part of the animal farm is down, I don't really have a need for these tokens. My drip balance is pretty solid. So I'm going to keep compounding these until the point I decide that I've got enough, and then I will kick in my 6-in-1 strategy. So I'll probably compound Monday through Saturday. I will claim on Sunday, and then I will repeat the following week. So again, I will put my referral link in the description below. You don't need it, but if you click on it, it'll take you to a site that looks just like this. It'll just have my little referral code embedded. And then when you deposit money, it'll kick me a small bonus. So if you like the content, that'd be appreciated. But again, it's not required. It's not like Drip where you need a buddy code to get in the system. Hope you guys enjoyed this how-to tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments section. Happy investing.